All right, Project Hail Mary. Let's talk about it. But before that, I want to show you this little guy, Rocky. There he is. I drew this. This is kind of an attempt to bridge. You know, this channel mainly is directed towards drawing. Yes, you could go as far to say art, maybe potentially, like in a way. Um, but it's kind of like a motivating factor. Like if I want to talk about something, I should have something to draw or like draw alongside it, or not some work. You get the point. But now that that's over, we're just going to talk about the movie. Because I don't think there's any questions regarding this. I mean, it's pretty simple. Wonderful. I will take this opportunity. I will put my Letterboxd. It's in my bio for some reason, and I will put it in the description. I just created it like yesterday. I finally bit the bullet. And yeah, if you want to hear my opinions on movies as I watch them, I will like retroactively start going through all the stuff that I have watched recently. I'm not going to cover everything because some things are just so far in the past that I'm like, do I really have an opinion on this? So it's going to be like stuff that I know I like and I know is good, and mainly things from here on out. But it's there. Project Hail Mary. Getting back to that. Great film. Amazing. I have read the book, so this was one of the few instances where I knew it was going to happen, and I don't know if that like helped or hurted my experience, because there were some people that like probably needed more stuff to be explained. So I kind of that's lost on me, like the science stuff. Like you get there's science, you get like there is an explanation for things, but maybe how spoilers, of course, but like at the end, I know they don't explain really how he stayed, like how he's able to eat. But in the book, they explain like he's basically eating his flesh that they made into a burger. It's a whole thing. But he's able to sustain himself that way. I do love that they included the epilogue. That was, to me, that's like the true ending. I know a common criticism is that this movie ends a few times over, but the thing is, if you're ending, like anytime you end and you continue on, if that's justified, it doesn't matter how many times it ends. This gives us closure that he made it safe, and he's, kind of accepted this is his home, essentially. That like he doesn't need to go back to Earth. There's kind of this theme of he's not. It's like Captain America, not to make you're not the guy to make the sacrifice play. That whole thing. Like he's kind of, it was stressed more in the book. But we had a couple scenes in the movie that were like, I'm not the guy for this mission. They stressed that a little more. But in the movie they have a scene, and then he kind of runs away from everything. He's like, oh, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not the guy. And they just drug him, and put him into a coma earlier. But those, I'm getting all over the place. But those multiple endings work. They add much more closure, much more context. I'm glad they're included, because if they just left with like, oh, the Earth is saved, like they added a scene where I forget her name, Strat, I think. I forget the actress's name, but she's basically on Earth. She gets his message, all of his recordings, explaining everything, and then you like see all this ice and whatnot. She's in like a ship or somewhere. If they just left it at that, like, I don't think that would have been a nice ending. You know what I mean? I don't think it would have wrapped the story up in a nice way. It would have left a lot of questions, and not in a good way. I think you kind of need that closure of everyone's saved, the day is saved, and he's happy, right? He finally made this choice. He like saved the Earth, and he gets to stay with his friend Rocky till the end of time, till he dies. Also highlights for me visually, this movie's incredible. As space movies tend to be, but there's like one scene in particular where he's like he's having a moment. I love that. Experiencing that in the theater was such an amazing thing. But there's a lot, like the other thing, we saw his ship. We get to see his ship. It was never described in the book. He never went aboard. I heard that some people were mad about that. I think it was cool. It really was like a 4-dimensional thing anyway. It was like, reminded me of like Interstellar, when he's like, it's been a while, but when he's like banging, the really emotional scene, and he's like kind of in that in between time, and it's like a bunch of rooms with like thread. It looks like that 4-dimensional, like it's not in defined space. But like visually, the score is amazing. I think it's shot well, especially at the beginning. I mean, kind of as he's getting his bearings, we do a lot of like twists, the camera, we're getting acclimated to his situation just as much as he is, or they try and like not confuse, but they kind of try and transfer that discomfort that he's feeling to the viewer, which is pretty cool. So I think that's everything. I don't want this to run on too long. It's good. I gave it like a 4 out of 5, a 4.5. So very nice.